Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Thank you everybody that submitted questions on my Game of Thrones Q&A. That was mostly about Clegane Bowl, but now most everyone is talking about this Meera Reed Jon Snow theory, so I definitely added that to my questions. Thank you to everyone that would not stop bugging me about this. If there's big news or a big theory or something that everyone's talking about, but you don't see me talking about it on Twitter and Facebook, usually it's just because I'm exhausted or like I'm still passed out, like I'm still asleep. Every once in a while, I will see something that I think is nonsense, so I'll just ignore it. But this is really about us as a fandom, like, discussing what's going on. So whether it has merit or not, feel free to keep bugging me about any, like, small theory, anything at all. I totally love it when you guys bug me about stuff like this. One of the biggest reasons that new books or new TV shows don't take off is because they're not interesting to talk about. If there isn't some subset of the fandom obsessing about some aspect of the story or the characters, it's just a clear indication that it's not interesting. So, as long as there's stuff to go crazy about for Game of Thrones, I feel like it's going to be one of the most popular things around. Just you wait, even after George R. R. Martin writes the last book, like the last line of the last book, people will still be arguing about stuff. Or it's like when you see those Karate Kid edits where Daniel is the villain of the story who keeps picking the fights with the Cobra Kai kids. All in good fun. But here we go, on to questions. Just careful for spoilers if you're not caught up with the show yet. So here we go. Bastards asks, with it being late in the seasons, do you think that we could ever see Lady Stoneheart? So what you're saying is since it's been a couple seasons since she's supposed to have shown up in the storyline, maybe it'll be a better explanation as to like why she looks so decrepit. A lot of people might not know about Lady Stoneheart. She's just a really notable character that the show has skipped over that's really big in the books. Without getting into too great detail, they are laying some circumstances that could indicate that she's going to be on the show, but that would require an actress coming back, filming scenes outdoors, which we haven't seen yet. So yes, it's still a possibility, especially with some of the other people that they've cast this season in Brienne's storyline. But we really can't say for sure until they're completely done filming all their outdoor scenes. So if you are holding out hope for Lady Stoneheart, all is not completely lost. I mean, I'm not expecting her, but that doesn't mean that she's not coming. Next question, Fuyu asks, how come Littlefinger and Varys never tried to kill each other back in King's Landing? I think probably because it would have caused more problems than it would have solved. That's the thing when you're dealing with slippery people like Littlefinger and Varys. Like they both have their agendas, completely independent of one another. I think that they each sense that the other person has something of value to offer them. So it's more of a keep your enemies closer situation. Next question, Steve M asks, if the Hound comes back, who would be the one to revive him? And if everyone changes when they get resurrected, could he become a good guy? Well, the thing about the Hound not being dead theory, like all the theories related to that state that he did not die in the salt pans whenever Arya left him. Now in the books, like the encounter that he has it was with completely different people in a different place, but it's the same situation. Arya just walks away. She just says, peace, I'm out of here, and walks off and doesn't know what ends up happening to him. She probably assumed that he's dead, but all the theories state that he did not die. He survived that encounter in the books and on the show. So any personality change that he goes through would be like a conscious process. It wouldn't be a side effect of resurrection, like he wouldn't lose a piece of his soul. All the pieces of the soul that the Hound has lost so far have been metaphorical, like just terrible things that he's done, just chipping away at him. It would be cool to see him get a redemption arc, but I kind of like the asshole version of the Hound. I feel like that's what makes him so much fun. Next question, Mick Gax asks, considering the Hound and Brienne fight didn't happen in the books, do you think if the Hound is the Gravedigger and does meet Brienne again, that would make for a good resolution to that story? Well, I'm actually kind of hoping that they don't meet again, at least right away. You know, I think eventually the characters that are still alive at the end of the story will cross paths. There'll be a big war for the Dawn, so either you're gonna die or you're gonna be in that last big battle. If he does end up coming back, really what I'd like to see is him get his own storyline by himself, just like try to do something good. If he were to run into Brienne again right away, then he would probably revert to his pre-trauma persona. It's like Jaime Lannister running into Cersei again. So he's on this redemptive arc, but he keeps backsliding. I think the same type of thing would happen if the Hound ran into Brienne too soon. Next question, Travis asks, what do you think about the theory of Meera Reed being Jon Snow's twin sister? So I saw this on HuffPo, which is already kind of a red flag. Like, you know, HuffPo is kind of a news aggregator. They don't really originate theories like that. I think it's a lot of fun, but I do think that it's nonsense. Meera has mostly been a part of Bran's storyline, and because the show has cut a lot of that out so far, just hasn't done a lot of Bran scenes, there isn't as much context as there is in the books. In the books, there's kind of like a ship developing between Bran and Meera. Like, Bran develops feelings for Meera. Whether or not she reciprocates remains to be seen, especially considering his current condition. but I feel like she's as perfect as she's ever gonna be. It's not gonna turn into some Neville Longbottom Harry Potter situation where it's like, you're the special one. Oh wait, no, there's another person who could totally be the special person. I feel like the person that originated this theory is probably like a giant Harry Potter fan. But usually things that turn me off to theories in the books, like make me feel like they're dead ends, is that they're overly complicated and they fly in the face of other theories that have more evidence to their credit. The Meera theory is really predicated on the idea that there were two babies at the Tower of Joy, and the most prominent theory about two babies at the Tower of Joy is that Daenerys was born of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen. But the Daenerys Tower of Joy theory is mostly in opposition to the Jon Snow theory. So the most common belief, based on what George R. R. Martin has presented in terms of timelines and when people say that certain characters were born, is that there was one baby at the Tower of Joy. Daenerys was conceived on the eve of the Battle of the Trident. Jon Snow was born like 1 to 3 months after the Battle of the Trident. That would make her several months younger than Jon Snow. So that's more of a strike against the Daenerys, Rhaegar, Targaryen, Lyanna Stark theory. But the evidence that the HuffPo article points to is a little bit silly. Like one of their points is that the actress that plays Meera looks like Kit Harington, which is just ridiculous. And the theory itself that they're posting is kind of late to the game. Like they're crediting a Redditor, but really, like if you go back even like 3 years, I think it's like 2012 or 2013, there's the exact same theory on the Song of Ice and Fire forums. So this is really like an old theory that's already kind of been disproven by the book reading audience that the show audience is just now getting to. So it's just a little too complicated, relies on the wrong kind of evidence, and flies in the face of other theories that have more proof. Right now, taking both the show and the books, taking all the context that's provided, I feel like as a character, she works better as a loyal friend and follower of Bran. I do totally want to see her get some crazy action in Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring, but I feel like that's all going to be relegated to the Bran storyline. She'll be to Bran like Brienne is supposed to be to Sansa, only she'll just be way better at her job. I mean, Brienne's awesome, but she's been a complete failure at her first task, finding and saving Sansa Stark. But just because I don't totally buy into the theory doesn't mean that I don't think that it's fun. Some of the best theories in the world are just completely ridiculous, like Tyrion, Jaime, and Cersei all being Targaryens. So please keep sending me all the crazy theories that you guys hear about. They're always fun to talk about. Just remember, the reality of the actual story is usually much more boring than the stuff that the fandom comes up with. Just ask Harry Potter fans. Next question, Dawn asks, why do people still think that Stannis could be alive? The HBO website said that Bran killed him. The one true king is dead. Time to bend the knee to someone else now. Well, I mean, people are just picking up on the fact that they didn't see him die on screen. And it's just a big TV trope that people come back when you don't see them die. They're also playing on the fact that George R. R. Martin usually does not tell people when a character is dead if they haven't seen him in a while. Benjen Stark is the best example of that. Anytime people ask George R. R. Martin about that, he's like, I didn't say that he's dead. The thing that George R. R. Martin said though, like he made a comment and everyone was going crazy about it. He said, in my books, he is definitely still alive. But you have to remember that the Stannis storyline in the books is dramatically different than what happened on the show. Some of the storylines on the show follow the books pretty closely. Some of them are wildly, wildly different. Sansa is another good example of a show character that's dramatically different from her book character right now. And you have to remember that we saw Barristan Selmy die on the show. He's still totally alive in the books. Next question though, Annalena asks, just a bit concerned about Tyrion's storyline, that it'll turn out to be rather dull in season 6. Now that HBO's announced there'll be no shooting in Croatia, which means no big marine scenes except indoors, I'm afraid about Tyrion. So you're saying, yeah, like just because they're filming a lot more indoor stuff, there's not going to be any like big action Tyrion scenes that he's involved with. It's totally possible that could happen. It sounds like that's what's happening in King's Landing too. They're filming a lot indoors, so it'll be a lot more close-up personal drama than big crazy action. Like most of the big crazy action they're teasing will probably happen in the north. Just because it seems like Tyrion isn't getting any like crazy huge scenes doesn't mean that there won't be interesting storylines. You have to remember that Daenerys' dragons are still underneath the pyramid. They haven't gotten out yet. So Tyrion is going to have to deal with them, and he's going to have to solve the problem of Slaver's Bay. Daenerys has thus far been unable to completely pacify Slaver's Bay. So Tyrion will probably just be doing the things that he's best at, and hopefully he will start learning more about dragons. I really want him to start studying like Samwell's going to be studying about White Walkers. Next question, Jason asks, in a recent interview, George R. R. Martin said that there's no absolute good and no absolute evil in the world of Game of Thrones. However, isn't the Mountain completely evil, or the others? You're talking about the White Walkers. Yeah, I mean, no author's going to come out and say, yeah, this person is completely bad just because that completely lops off any storyline or any twist they might want to introduce. I think everybody would just scream and rage if we never got any storylines from the White Walker's perspective. The types of twists that you see, especially with TV shows, is that you meet someone that's presented as a villain, but then later you get the story from their perspective, and from their perspective, they're the protagonist of the story. Really, every character is the hero of their own story. That's true of anything. The problem on Game of Thrones right now, and even in the books, is that we haven't got that deep dive into White Walkers yet. But thank you so much, everyone, for submitting questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. I feel like we're still going to be talking about this Jon Snow Meera Reed thing, but most of my stuff will be on like Twitter, Facebook. I'll try to answer some more questions in the comments. But congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Northern XY. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. I've already seen some good suggestions for next week's bonus video about like missing characters, big characters that we haven't seen in a while. So I'll probably settle on the next couple, but my next bonus video will post on Sunday before Fear the Walking Dead. If you're not caught up on that show, I'll put my Walking Dead playlist link in the description so you guys can catch up. Just in case you guys haven't seen it, I did a video all about the Gravedigger theory and the Hound maybe coming back. You can click here to watch that, and you can click here to learn all about the Enchanted Horns, the Horn of Winter and Dragonbinder. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.